That used to be a joke of mine growing up. How else can I explain it to you? Could you try doing an interpretive dance, maybe? Sorry, I'm late. I was trying to find one piece of information on my computer. What did I miss? Interpretive dance. Oh, man. I'm waiting on Kay. Whenever you get here, let me know. I see one person is here, whoever that is, because I don't know yet. I hope you're doing well. I'll leave that there for now. Not the best view, but I had a specific question, kind of, while I'm waiting. Hello, Crystal. How are you this wonderful day? I'm gonna grab. Oh, I did forget my water, but I have my cup, so I'm fine. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. So I don't know exactly what I'm planning on doing. I'm waiting on someone to come, but I wanted to leave this open. I have isopod bins I could do. Those jars you see here and here are I could do a vivarium, but with that I want to do it interactively. Kind of let you guys decide what to put where, things of that nature. But I'm waiting on a gentleman from who's actually in Poland. So I'm just going to kind of prattle on for a better answer. Any questions? And it is very nice to see. Oh, there you are, Kay. Hey, 503. Wow, okay. I was not expecting everyone. I'm going to move this up a little. Before we get into this, Kay, so in fact, I'm going to do that one last. Start with the least important. This is my first sealed vivarium. I'm sorry about the lighting not being optimal. This one's kind of plain. You can see a piece of cholo wood through it that goes all the way down. In fact, this was a little bit of an experiment of mine because that piece of cholo would fit so snugly. It took me about 2 or 3 minutes of kind of twisting softly, but it just fit through this. And then I just kind of built around it. As you can see, I don't have any plants. I'm limited to moss at the moment. Let me see. Yeah, I did my maintenance Friday so I could get this done. There's not too much exciting going on in here. It's very basic with springtails. I did put a couple isopods in here and they're doing fine, but there was one, either mankai or dwarf white, that always hangs out. But I don't see him at the moment. So there's that. Then this one I actually kind of talked about recently. This is for my cousin Sherry. Now, we have a kind of family tree that married in that branches off, so it's just odd in that I'm in my early 40s, but my cousin Sherry is in her 70s and she has fibromyalgia. She's not bad, but just it's hard. So winters for her are hard, more so when the snow and rains come and go. So I made this for her. I'm going to be dropping it off soon. I wanted something just kind of minimal, something simple. I'm going to put a little bit more water in here. I want to get that regulated because it seems like it could use a little more. Get my hand out of there. And I picked a light bulb specifically because I say every time I talk to her, she kind of lights up my day a little bit. So that was nice. Yeah, I'm struggling with this and learning, which is why I kind of wanted to hold on to these before I give them out. Now, I want to look into those, Chris. I'm I want to look into so much. And the like I always and I appreciate stuff like that because I do mention I'm always learning. I'm new to all of this. I've only been in isopods for about 6 or 7 months, which is a story for later. But Kay, this is the one I actually have the video of my daughter and I putting this together. It's long because it's more for me and less for you guys in terms of the video. But it was just awesome. However, that one green piece in the middle I did put recently as I got that. I'm going to surprise her. There's no isopods. I do have springtails in here. And her and I made this, so yeah. In fact, I have it set like that. It's not the best all around. In the the butt end is kind of bland, but I wasn't, I want to present it either, from one of these different sides, even from the front. So, that was really neat. So, okay, let me move this out. In fact, let me move these back. I do try to, again, experiment with the shapes, but this one and the light bulb just made it clear to me that I need to plan a little better for those narrow-necked ones, because they just require a lot more attention to detail, I guess. So I don't want to, well, you know what? I don't even care. If we want to do this one today, this is just a larger. We have all of these to choose from if we want to do vivariums. I also have about 3 bins we could do in terms of isopods, one of them being actually a smaller, clearer one, which I would have to, as you can see, I only have holes in the top. I only recently got a soldering iron. And then I have this, which is not the shoe bin size, but more of the upgrade. I don't think I have the size on there. And then I have one similar to this, but it's twice as tall. I don't want to, well, yeah, I can pull it up really quick. This is the third one. It's the same dimensions as the one prior, just basically twice as tall. So this would be more of a vertical display enclosure. And I do want to say, I had a couple talks with Wally at Supreme Gecko, and I just talk and marvel at how we all do different setups. Like, generally speaking, mine stop eyeballing my food. We build our bins differently, and I mean in so many different ways as I watch other people set things up. In fact, Chris, if you're still here, I was watching you set up those 2 vivariums. I think you put, I'm not familiar with Cubaris, I want to say Panda Kings in there or something like that. I was watching that the other day. And my point is, and in fact, it's doing these vivariums, it's making me aware of just how much can go into doing some of these setups. And just how, I see some setups that I think are basic, but basic isn't bad because my bins are not built to optimize breeding. I like to be able to look through them. And some people, they do their things for different purposes. If they're doing theirs for breeding, I understand why some people set it up that way. And I'm fascinated by a lot of that. I want to go back to the chat really quick and see what I missed. Kay, what are you thinking about? I don't know what you guys want to do. We have options. Well, that's coming up. I don't know if you know what goodies I have, Kay. So I'm going to kind of show some off. Yeah, that's a little heavy. So this is just it's dry now, but, well, not even really. I was mossed over piece of wood that I just got. I want to put that maybe in a vivarium. I don't know. I don't know if these are mushrooms or lichens that are mossed over, but all right, we can do, let me see. Let me do some thinking on the species. I put these in the oven really lightly. I don't want to dry them out too much, but I wanted to make sure there weren't any dudes hanging out. So I may use these just for a vivarium until I know if it's safe for isopods. If you guys know what these are, I would love any feedback. Let me, in fact, take a moment. They were attached there to the wood. They seem like either a mushroom or a lichen. I'm just not versed or educated enough to know which. Let me think for a second. This is gonna shake. I apologize, and I'm just gonna raise this camera a little. I have more zebras, but I have bins for those. Oh, I know what we can do. Are you guys ready for this? I I do mention often that there's two aspects. I like to get bioactivity up. I like to set up my bins and let them sit for weeks, maybe not if not months. This spring, I know I'm going to, in fact, there's four basic species I can collect out here some of them I have. I have my Porcellio spinicornis and my Rathkey. And then there are Philash muscorum and what's the other one? The one Aniscus ocellus. So I do not have any Aniscus ocellus. When I started collecting at the end of what was this spring, or I should say fall, I opted to focus on spinicornis instead. So when I came across any Aniscus ocellus, I kind of put them back and didn't want to keep them. So let's set up a bin for some Aniscus ocellus. What do you guys think of that? And where did I put that bin? There it is. And if we have no objections, I am not super familiar with them. Only in care videos and stuff like that where I've come across them. So yeah, and one interesting aspect of that is I live in Michigan, so I know naturally they can handle a lot of the stuff out here, but my apartment fluctuates seasonally, and that's going to be one interesting aspect for me personally with this season is come summer. It's going to be the first summer where I'm keeping isopods, basically. So I'm just going to have to make sure as the warmer days get here and my apartment gets warmer, I take things like this into account. So maybe I may shuffle some that are, dry or appreciate the heat more up into the higher parts on my shelf and all that. But that's something I'm going to have to navigate and deal with myself. Again, stuff like that I look forward to. Now, just trying to think which hurts. I want to say this is about like a 15 or a 16 quart. Now, I do have a question, and I'm indifferent, but I have a partial bag of substrate where I have the leaves already mixed in. Or should I just start all the way from the bottom up and I got to catch up on the chat in a moment and just do substrate and start, because I generally will put calcium sand in there, the leaves, things like that, pieces of wood in addition to what is in the substrate. The bag that I have already to the side has most of that, and that's not as much fun, but it's quicker. So if you guys think I should do that, let me know. I'll wait a moment and get myself a drink of water, then come back and check those chats. You know, 503, I've heard about those bounces, but mainly with the like Jupiter, I guess the either newer or higher end Cubaris. I hear of a lot of people getting 8 to 10, 6 to 10, whatever, and going down to, I've heard of people go down to 2 and then reestablish from there, which is very, interesting to me. I have not had an experience like that, but I mainly stay with armadillidiums and a couple Porcellio species. Is the stream good connectivity wise? And I mean that in that this part of the house, sometimes my wireless can be spotty. So if I'm coming through bad, I can always just switch to the wireless. No one answered my question, so I'm going to do what I like to do and start from the beginning. Gonna grab fresh substrate. I did. I'm generally in the bad habit of not moistening the substrate enough, I guess, or prior to putting it in, but I'm trying to remedy that. I did throw some in here. Look at that. What I always do is just start with a thin layer. Well, let me do some thinking here. I will wait a moment because I do want to know if you guys want to do more of a visual build, or should I build one that's slightly more optimized towards breeding these Oniscus ocellus that I will be putting in here. And if you're not aware, basically, if I do more of a visual one, I tend to put wood in places. Like I may put a piece down here that comes up all the way through. In fact, I guess I could kind of show you. And this will be nice. I may put something like this. I'll talk about the substrate in one moment. And have this go all the way through. Now, if I'm doing a bin that's for breeding, I wouldn't necessarily want this because in order to access the isopods in here, I would have to pull this up, and it would be, again, I would have substrate to about up to here and all that. So if I'm doing a more long-term display, I don't mind doing that. But if that's not my intent, I tend to do it a little bit thinner and not as deep in terms of the substrate, and then a little less of this and more stuff in the top in terms of wood, so that I can check them more actively, pull them out actively. So and so I see. Okay, let's go with the visual. Well, now I do have one question. Yeah, I'm not going to make the decision for you, but I do want to ask a question. I'll show you what I mean. For this substrate, really quick, I purchased, and I do want to thank the I want to see which. So this substrate is from Stephanie Kreidler at Kreidler's Critters. I'm not positive on the mix, so I want to, I don't want to say what is or isn't in there. I've got substrate from her. This is the second time, but what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the bins. Sorry. Now, if you want to go visual, I just want to say that do you guys want to go with this bin? You can see the junk in there. It's a little clearer. But my point is kind of side by side. I hope you can see that the bottom one's a little more opaque and the top one's a little more clear. What do you guys think? So we'll have to fill this, but I don't mind. I have the stuff for it. Let me know which of those bins you guys think. If we're going for, as KU said, that visual build, I think we should switch bins, but let me know. And this will be, if we go this route. Speak amongst yourselves. I get another drink of water. And I do have other substrate. There we go. Okay. For the substrate, I do have other substrate from another lady I've been speaking with online. I'm just not using it, but I know she has specifically listed what I asked, because that was a little interesting, because when I was, for lack of a better term, she lets me put together my substrate. She puts more stuff in it. Like, just one example is I tend not to want peat moss, and she makes it custom like that, I guess, she, with lots of other options. So that's for another day. So let's do this. I'm going to leave. No, let me get that substrate out of that one. So again, this is for Oniscus ocellus. And I am going to be swimming in Oniscus. I'm going to be swimming in isopods. I don't know if you guys watch my videos, other videos, or some of my live streams where I just go on my walks and point out all the wood. And for a little bit of context, we've had beavers here over the past couple of years. They got rid of them a couple of years ago, but they knocked down an amazing amount of trees, which for someone like me is grand, because now I can go and collect all of that and use it. The wood is falling. I mean, literally peeling off and falling off. And it's wonderful. I'm going to be collecting not only the isopods, but the wood, which is where you'll see in a moment where I get a lot of the wood. So that should be enough for now. I'm going to throw some calcium sand, and then I'm going to talk with you guys, and we'll pick out a centerpiece, so to speak, maybe one or two. And I'll show you, I have some wonderful pieces. You guys, I hope, love some of the stuff I'm going to show you. You guys have quite a few options. In fact, I want to put a couple leaves in now. And I'll throw a couple pieces of other wood while I'm here. So when I take pieces like this, especially in these visual tanks, instead of laying them like this, I like to place them so they come up vertically. This is, I love, because in many ways it promotes the water. If you drip water on here, it will go further down into the substrate, but it also allows in that when the moisture moves up and down with sphagnum moss here and there, it allows them to move freely. Like, so you can see, hopefully, these grooves in here. And if I put it in like this, they can crawl down and use these. There will be, again, I reference my conversation with Russ at Aquarimax. He taught, and I use the term microcosms. He uses the term microenvironments. So even within this little area, you could have moisture pockets that give them that ability to get moisture if they prefer it, and very easily walk right on up and get to the less humid parts. So those are the things I like to do. We're gonna break this up. Or, yeah, I'll break up part of it now and we'll put this through. I'll put this end down in there as it's a little less vivid. Oh, I adore this wood. I say this is the kind of stuff makes me wish I was an isopod so I could eat this stuff. Lots of chunks of wood in this substrate, and I do want to take a moment and put some leaf litter in there and then drop some more substrate. With that, if you guys are noticing I'm not putting something, I missed something overlooked, or why don't you do this? Like, I'm going to be putting sphagnum moss a little bit here, which is something I tend to overlook. Very often, I'm going to pull the wood out in a minute and blend that, but I do very often just forget to mix a little bit of moss. And with that, yeah, let's do that. Ooh, I apologize. I hope you guys are okay. Sorry, I hit you guys. Which one will I? Yeah. This is a jar of moss that I was trying to, I got a little bit of success there, but I've been trying to repropagate sphagnum moss. This was the sealed experiment that did not come out as well. I'll show you the other, one of the other two in a moment. Whereas these are slightly ventilated at the top and they are propagating a lot better, so I'm going to use that method. So I'm going to take some of the moss out of my unsuccessful one and throw it in that substrate. Get you out for a moment. Then I'm going to mix that up with a little more substrate. And this will be more of the moist side. Throw some more substrate. Check my chat really quick. I may have actually checked 503 that video on propagating, which is why I went with the different experiments, because I've seen a couple people do it a couple different ways. And that, so, you know, and that's one thing I always encourage people to listen to information more so if you know it conflicts, because there can be little things of benefit you can find in those conflicting things. Like, so if someone's doing something differently, what is it that is working in that different aspect? And maybe it can carry over into yours, or you can look for different little things to, I don't like to use the word exploit, but to, you know, exploit it and benefit your isopods, hopefully. Now, we're okay. Yeah, we got some stuff. I do have this fine piece that I want to use from This was also from Stephanie at Kreidler's Critters. This is her stuff. I don't know if you guys want to use this. It's not, it does go all the way through. It's just hard because there is a little bit of junk in there, which I keep. I'm going to actually pack substrate and some extra leaves and goodies in there if we use this. This would be something I could, again, this is visual one. I enjoy doing something like putting it right here and letting, if this will be the main area I'm going to view it from, kind of put it like this, have stuff under. And again, I like it, have it going, you know, in one way horizontally, but also down vertically to give access to different environments, whether it's humidity, heat, access to resources, you know, things like that. Let me know. So we have that. This is I don't know what kind of wood this is. It's a nice dead dry piece. Again, one thing to do is lay it like so. And I like to combine pieces, so I'll often put substrate all up in here, which will again create little pockets of nutrients in there. And I'll actually put moss that I have up over or between this. Yeah, and I again, I think it's a difference in my opinion because some species, just for example, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, my zebras would not really benefit from a deeper substrate because they don't use it. However, if you allow them different access to it where they're not just digging in substrate, they have different access to it. That's what I'm trying to, you know, promote. So I don't know if you guys want that centerpiece, or, and again, we could combine. I don't mind at all. Hope you guys, ooh, yeah. Oh, this may be too big. I may have to bust this up. I have a piece like this. That just to show its size. So I can find other pieces, but just a similar thing like that, you know, this may be a better idea. I could put a piece like that. I'll break this one up. Or actually, where was that one? And then I had this piece I found that is kind of still together at the top that could be put kind of like this, and I could set it up and build up and around this, kind of like an A-frame, yeah. So let me know when you guys take a moment and what you think is good. So we have the A piece, the round cork, the dead wood, the lichened wood. I want to say that for centerpieces is maybe it. I mean, I have a big plain piece of cork bark that's relatively rounded. Choose your own adventure. This piece is kind of interesting. So, and are you still there, Kay? Are you lurking? I don't know if I just missed. That's one thing, like, so the clutter, I look at it in two different ways. Again, so if I'm doing this kind of thing where I'm more visually, I like the clutter of wood. The issue becomes when you're doing breeding, and again, specifically when you're breeding. And so for my zebras, just as an example, I want to open them up and look to pull out their morphs. I don't want to create things where I have to disturb the entire thing, potentially kill, bury mankai, things like that. So with these visual ones, I like the clutter to be this. I don't mind a bunch of wood like this all together covered in substrate, because ultimately they're just going to enjoy this, and I don't care if they're down there eating it. That's what I want. But if I put substrate on this, it would be difficult for me to start looking for whatever I want to pull out, and that's the difference in these, in my opinion. So whereas now, if I have this built for breeding, the clutter I would put on top in maybe just with flat pieces, leaf litter, and then more flat pieces on top to keep that on top where I could say, okay, I want to, it's that time of the week or month where I go and pull out my different morphs or whatever and, isolate them. But in a bin like this that I'm setting up, I'm not going to be able to really do that. So I like the clutter beneath. But one thing I do try to do, let me throw a little more of you. I'm going to break up that A-frame a little bit, just the bottom piece. Oh no, it kind of fell apart. It's all right. In fact, you all right. Now I'll put this piece here. I do in these ones where I know I'm going to be viewing them more. I do try to make the front and usually one of these sides more airy here. And I do that with leaves and things like that, kind of putting these up and jutting them. And then I'll put a little bit of substrate. And where were my other leaves? Oh, in fact, I have a few magnolia leaves. I generally use magnolia leaves less for, I guess, food and more for stuff like this where I use it for kind of cover because they're so thick and they kind of just do well blocking substrate. So that will be one area for the front. I'm going to throw a little bit more moss. Yeah, looking good. This is almost where I would want to stay, like I said. In fact, so maybe I'll try... This presents an interesting option because I'm going to do it against this, but again, assuming I want to view from that direction viewing in, I can take this end and put it up here and load it up here again, and that will be interesting in a way because that'll be a little microcosm in and of. I may do that. Let me know what you guys think. Again, if I'm going to view it on this side, maybe I'll show you a little bit. I hate having to remove and reset the camera, but let me pull this up for one moment. I apologize. But I can pack that with substrate, moss, leaves, other wood, and again, create its own. If I can make that a moist area in and of itself on the opposite end of the bin, and which is interesting about that is if I do that, for the most part, most of the moisture and humidity would be contained in there. So even if this is the dry spot, it would just, again, create a little more variety in the environment for them. I'm debating that. So let me know what you guys think about that. Thank you for bearing with me. I apologize for the craziness. And while you guys are hopefully thinking about that, I'm going to take a sip of water and then start loading that base back up. Hydrate or die, like drill instructor Saf Stark Sedaniel always used to say. So I'm going to put a little more leaf litter down in there. Yeah, every time I find them, 503 again, and I found it, in hindsight, I should have collected them, but hindsight is, what it is. I turned away so many, but my point is, every time I found them, I mentioned those trees with the beavers, and this is what I like about doing this, I'm starting to notice their preferences in nature, in that, like you say, the aniscuses are always that I find them. Um, yeah. So this bark obviously is on a tree, and every time I find them, they're in this wood, in between this and I can't the inner insides of the tree, but they're always in here. So when I peel these off, if the season is right and it's the right tree, they're just everywhere in there. I mean, it was beautiful to see in hindsight. Um, should I keep that front piece up there? Let me know what you guys think. I wanted to actually get that. In fact, let's do that. I'm going to put a little bit more sphagnum moss on that side now. With that, I do actually have in here some terrarium moss that you'll see. It's the green stuff. Oh, nice, because this has charcoal in it. And charcoal is wonderful for just keeping the bioactivity up. But it also is, from what I understand, part of what springtails use to breed on. So that's good. Hmm. Enjoy the peace and serenity. In fact, while I'm in this, what I'm kind of looking for right now are pieces of what everybody else usually hates. Because I like to put wood, again, that goes vertically down to almost, if not all the way down to the base. And I actually like to take some of the leaf stems most people hate and use them, but I don't seem to have any left, which is kind of a bummer. But One thing I want to do now. I normally wouldn't do this because I'm trying hard to propagate this right now, but I do. So yeah, let's plow that piece. Which is interesting because it's molding. So this is that piece I gathered in my walk the other day. You can see it starting to mold there. I'm just going to put that there for a moment. But I don't want you, in fact, let's see. I think I'll put that there eventually. Well, actually, I'm going to switch something up. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it like that. Because I can. Let me do one of my little tricks I like to do, I'm not for some reason, is and I'll put that in a moment. This is some of the wood I have that's not mossed over. That's from the tree where I collected my spinny cornies. So I want you here. What do you guys think so far? Anything I should add? Anything you saw me do and you're like, Steve-O, what are you doing? Why did you do that? I'm going to pull the camera off in a moment. I'm going to throw a little more stuff. I'm going to kind of pull the camera off to move it around. Yeah, that cave is kind of why I want to show kind of what I'm going for here. And it's still to the point where there's not so much that I can't undo it how you know, and move it to how you guys want it. So let me take one more moment. What moss should I use? I'll use the rest of this. So I want to go about there, and I have to spray that. I am going to I wish I could, but I'll show you guys in a sec. I can't go flipping right now. I'm gonna wash my hands, take a sip of water, and then I'm gonna, like I said, pull this off and give you guys a look at what I have going. All right. Say hello to my hand. Hydrate or die. So, yeah, I can't. I hope you can see out there. I'm not going to be going to flip anything for a while, unfortunately, but I will be going on my walks. So, let me move this for a moment. So, this is what we got going on now. As you mentioned, so I'm trying to set up somewhat of a cave thing going there. And from this angle, I was trying to make it, maybe I'll try to focus on it here, but I don't know if you can see the way I made a little pocket. I know the light's not the best. There. And I'm trying to create a visual one that I could see in here. I may try to lift this up a little more and try to, but again, I'm not super worried about that, but I would like to. So let's see what I can do right now. I opened it up more. Good, so I can kind of, like I said, start throwing leaves up on top and then substrate on top of it to act as a barrier. So there's the nice layering of leaves. Not as good as I wanted it, but, and I know why. I'll tell you why in a moment. Again, that's the moist side. That piece of wood is going to be when I water that dry side, my focal point, because again, I know dripping water on that will eventually, be it if it's absorbed by the branch or it just follows it down, will go down to the base level of the substrate. Moist side, in fact, there are the definitions of that one. There's that. The moss and layers, I don't know how well you can see some of the aeration with these leaves in there. And I'll do it on this side more. But what I generally would do is put a lot of leaf litter literally just around the edges, and it creates a lot of visual pockets. And I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for not having done that a little bit more, but now I can do that. So this is what we got going on. Move back to the main. So let me move some of this stuff back. I did actually want to. So what I would normally do is take the leaf litter and kind of focus the thicker stuff around. This is actually not even that thick, so I'm gonna have to get more in a moment. So there we go. then, so I'll move you for a moment. Yeah, that looks rad. I'm actually going to take this off for a moment and show you. I hope it comes out. Move this again. Thank you for your patience. Move you again. I wonder, I'm going to turn the light on. I apologize if that, I don't know if I can actually on this. Let's see. No. But there is a nice layer. Again, I apologize because of the glare of that. But you can see nicely in there. I'm going to put a little bit of substrate on this, and I'm going to kind of wait for you guys. Let me know what you think I should do next, whether it's just more substrate, add some more wood. My kiddos come back from my ex's tomorrow, so things like this will be a little far and few in between for the next couple weeks. But I do also try to want to get them to do some of this stuff with me. I'm also not in a hurry, and if you guys are, I apologize. So like I say, just kind of, if I'm waiting too long in between these, I kind of apologize. But as I said, I'm trying to, without sitting here not doing much. Hey, what's going on, Naturalist? Good to see you. Thank you. Hope the weather's nice where you are. But what I was saying is, take it easy, 503. Thank you so much for hanging out and stopping by. So again, I have leaf litter, lots of this. Ooh, I still have to put this piece in. I think I want to keep it kind of more towards the top. There's that lichened side. So they have cork. They have the two pieces of wood that I collected naturally. Trying to think of what else I can put. They have the cork. Let's throw that in here. I just try to. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh man. Yeah, I want to put a lot more wood because as I'm saying, I want to put this up in the back. So yeah, let's. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah, that crack was pretty satisfying. I hope you enjoy your day, naturalist. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. And then what I want to do is so I hope this will come out nicely because I had this kind of A-frame with it going down. I'm actually going to, with a little bit of this moist moss. In fact, I want to cover that a little better because I'm going to cover that hopefully with a nice piece here, a nice flat piece. Or several, I guess. But there you go. That's going to be interesting. That crack wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad. Let me see. I gotta throw some calcium sand. I blame you guys. You've been letting me forget. I don't know if I like this cave or this area here better. I want. Oh man, I can't wait to show you how that came out. I'm gonna do one last area here of moss for the moisture side, hydration station. Right? You know, it's funny. I'm not. I don't know what ASMR is exactly, but a couple people have been saying just in isopods in general, some of the things people do are ASMR friendly, and maybe I'll do that one day if I find out what it is. Yeah, this is one of those things. I want to build a. I want to build my isopod homes like if I was an isopod. I want to set it up like that. Hmm. I want to. I don't want to do this. You know what? Hmm. Should I do one more piece of moss here over the kind of as a bridge between the hydration station and the middle area? What do you guys think? I harvest moss to use it. I just hate having to get rid of it. What is going on, Beerby? Happy Saturday. I've got to make sure actually. I want to kind of keep this piece. So, Beerby, just this is one of the things you mentioned. I'm gonna prattle on for a moment. Um, what I'm doing, I don't know. I'm assuming you kind of just got here because I don't think you were just lurking and not saying anything. So, what I'm doing is putting together an enclosure for a isopod species called Oniscus ocellus, which, if I'm not mistaken, in Latin is kind of like mule and donkey. I don't want to say the A word just because of the algorithms and stuff, but so it's like a redundancy. They're like a mule donkey in terms of what their scientific name is. And what I'm doing is putting together a bin for them. They're a local species. Now, when I say local, that's always with a big asterisk because from what I understand, the overwhelming majority of isopods in North and South America are not local. I think there are a handful. So almost any isopod species is technically from Europe. And we brought them here with us when we started moving west from Europe. So, but now this species has been here so long, you can, for all intents and purposes, consider them native. Now, I don't have these isopods yet. I'm going to be catching them in the spring, so I'm getting this bin for them set up right now, getting it established, get bioactivity up. There can be mold blooms and things like that that you want to kind of take care of. So I'm prepping all of that now. Yeah, there's actually a large portion of the isopod trade today is based out of there's a Porcellio species is plural Porcellio species is that are in the Mediterranean area, and there's some of the larger isopods, and like the one if some of the isopods are either about as wide as my thumbnail or about probably wide longer than my thumbnail. Porcellio Hoffman, Zegai is one, and I forget a couple of the other ones, but they're a lot larger than what we are traditionally used to seeing in terms of isopods. So, um, with that, this species is interesting in that they enjoy, quote, colder weather, because I always say with isopods, when you use terms like cold, hot, warm, and dry, that's not correct. That's all within the parameters of what isopods can accept. So, relatively speaking, these isopods like it colder for isopods, but that's by no means anything saying that they love cold weather. This bin, I missed that. Well, you know what? It'd be amazed at, you would be amazed, I believe, at some of the um, conditions these guys can survive in. And before I get back into the bin, I did want to say they're very interesting isopods in general. And I guess, you know what? Now that I think about it, humanity is very much like this. And let me know what you guys think in that isopods themselves. Take it easy, Kay. Thank you so much for stopping by. Um, Isopods are very individually, they're not that great. They're hardy, but as a whole, they're hardy and resistant. Individually, they're actually somewhat fragile and sensitive, but collectively, they're not. It's maybe somewhat like ants also are like that. I just find that fascinating, and I believe humans very similarly are built like that. And Kay, if you're already gone, I apologize, but thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out when you did. We are almost done with this. And Bearby or anyone else, if you have any questions. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Nope. These can be water hippos, I guess. That's kind of redundant. Interesting thing, Bearby, because again, I know some people watching this information will not be new. I'm trying to think. I always, because it sounds like you're stuttering. Isopods are detritivores in that eat basically what is already generally decomposing and help it decompose and break it down further into smaller pieces. And so, generally speaking, if you do it not the right way versus wrong way, I mean the right way in terms of it being optimal. If you set your bin up, everything in here is a food source for them. The leaves they'll eat, the substrate they'll eat, not always some of the moss, but they will sometimes eat this, but they will get their humidity and moisture from this. And additionally, if you do it right, some of these can start to, I'll just show you actually. So while they don't eat the lifeless stuff, if you repropagate it, you can see it can start to come back, and they will eat the green stuff. That's nutritional and hydration for them. So realistically, you want to set it up so they can eat this entire bin. And the beauty in that is you didn't get to see where I made up all the areas, but it allows different areas of moisture, different access to nutrients, different access to light, different access to heat. All of those things come into play with isopods. Even like I mentioned, some of the smaller isopods tend to be more below the surface unless accompanied by the larger ones. So you want to have that. There's all kinds of these things that go into building these. But in terms of the substrate, like I say, the leaves, the wood, all of that are things that if they won't eat it now, eventually over time they will. And it's really neat. Um, I am about done here. I don't know who is still here and who wants to do what. I'm going to throw a little bit of leaf litter down. I'm about done with that. I want to put some wood on the top. Yeah, they're walking garbage disposals for the most part. It's really neat. Do this. And yeah, I say if I was an isopod, I'd move in. And then I want. Yeah, if I can, when I'm done with this, it doesn't look like anyone else is around. Maybe what I could do, if, I don't know how much time you have, Bearby, but I can maybe go through one of the other bins and just let you kind of see some of these guys running around because that's always just rad to see. I want to put one more piece of wood, but I'm struggling with which piece I want to use. I guess I could use. Did I not have another piece? Yes, I did not. Mm-hmm. It is very different, but not. I think about that all the time, about it being something like a cooking channel. It is, and it's very peaceful. The only thing I say is this is This is more of impromptu, so it's not like take 1 teaspoon of something or a cup of something. It's just kind of go at it. Thank you. This is actually just the cell, and that's what I worry about is um, I don't know always how the stream looks. And this is all I want to get to the point where I'm a little bit more refined. This is just me setting stuff up for a stream. I want to get it more streamlined, but that day is not today. And it's not looking like anyone else is here. Do you have time? Do you want to? I don't know. I don't want to keep you, but if you want to look through a couple of maybe 1 or 2 of my other bins, that could be some fun. If you're going to be going soon, we don't have to start anything on it, but I do want to actually go through this with you as I think you may enjoy this. I'm going to shake the camera for a moment. I apologize. I want to move this. I don't want it to fall. So I'm going to unhook you. You're going to see my hand for a moment. Say hello. So up top, yeah, and this is why I say it's important to kind of you don't get the full picture sometimes in this regard. So this is just the top layer, but you can see one thing is you want to give them lots of area, hiding places, humidity, access to food. So you want a lot of layer and texture, I guess would be a good word. All of these leaves, the stuff under it, the wood overlapping creates layers. Now this is hopefully going to come out well. It's not the best, but I don't know how well you can see, but this hole goes actually about maybe 1.5 or 2 in, and it goes all the way down to here, and I want to see that. We'll spin that way next. But my point is, that cave is open and goes all the way down through there. If I don't have my flashlight handy, I would shine it, but so that thing goes down to here. And then you can't see it so much, but this piece of wood is the end of that long piece going all the way up. And there's a piece that goes vertically here. And this is why I say I try to stack the leaves and give a lot of aeration and maybe like kind of like a loamy feel to it. Then stack the wood on top, put the substrate on top, and it creates, you can see the substrate's already starting to accumulate its moisture and things like that, and it goes down to the base level of substrate. You can see some of the calcium sand in there. This came out a lot. Wow. Oh, that's actually neat. You can almost see the way the hydration station more or less can trail all the way through. And again, look at that. I love these. Again, it's not always the best in these views, and I apologize, but in person, you get so much to look at in here, and you'll see them up on the top, bottom. This is gonna be rad. I'm excited now. And then this is the moist side, the hydration station. You can see I have it kind of going through, but it goes mostly all the way down to the bottom. I apologize if I wasn't holding the camera right. There's some dimensions again. Yeah, and then back here. So I hope you enjoyed. I kind of didn't see if there were any comments, so I apologize immediately if I missed them. I'm going to go through that in a moment once I get this. And that. I'm going to put you here for now. So, yep, that is that. I do have to clean this up just a little bit later, but I'm not that worried because there's nothing in here yet. So I'm going to do this probably just maybe 10 minutes and pull out one species, but I want to grab the lid, which is here. One thing I have not done for this bin yet is any ventilation. So I want to be mindful of that. Yeah, it's nice and heavy and moist. Good. I'm going to tempt you, Bearbeak, by pulling out the zebras. No eating my zebras, though. Turn that around. Man. So that's a little baby. I don't know how many there are in that. So what I talk about, like these guys, so to speak, they're isopods, but they're trade isopods. In that there are just so many more, and that also applies to deep sea isopods and stuff. I couldn't tell you initially how many. Sorry, this is going to shake because I try to lower this a little. I'm going to take the phone off and go deep down in a moment. I recently put a lot more leaf litter down, so now they're here, but they're just generally more out of sight and out of mind. But man, those are some nice mankai. Manka is a single isopod baby, and mankai is the plural. Just so you know, if you hear me say that and you're wondering what I'm talking about. These guys are a little shy today. I may go get the spinny cornies. Man, there's some nice mankai, at least two. Another one there crawling, yep. Yeah, those are man, that's the future of mankind right there. Sorry, I'm kind of looking down up close. I'm gonna do that in a moment, and then I'll get the spinnies out. Big old one over there. And this is more of why they traditionally call them zebras, because of that pattern, obviously. Armadillidium maculatum. I believe I may be confused with Gestroy, but I believe these guys are from France. So they don't build stuff, they just basically burrow, but they don't bite per se. But if you put them on your finger or hand, some of the larger or hungrier or just more curious species like it, they'll nibble your hand. Some people let them like chew on their fingernails because these guys love calcium because of their shells, obviously, so they just kind of nibble. And it's not anything I've ever heard that hurts. It just, feels like I can't like a scratch, like kind of like a dull scratching almost. Yeah, in fact, he's chowing on that leaf right now. It's kind of cool. Oh, wait. So see the color difference in this one a little bit, how it's kind of broken on the top. That's just one of the other. These guys come in a lot of different morphs. And people will breed them. So, and one of my long-term projects is going to be doing that. So I may isolate those broken ones, isolate these ones, and there's other ones, and start breeding them accordingly. I'm interested in that. Sorry, I know I'm in the light. And no, hey, how's it going, naturalist? No worries. I understand life happens. I always just appreciate it if you guys can find any time to spend with me. That's awesome. I don't know if you were here, but check this out. Where is he? There's a couple of them on that leaf. And naturalist, I'm kind of explaining to old Bearby, a buddy of mine in the chat, good friend, just about what's going on. Some of it you'll know about. It will seem redundant to you. Here's a little. Where's he hiding at? I just saw him. Oh, there he is. Okay. Another little guy hiding down there. Quite a big guy, actually. He was moving that piece of. Here it is. So magic leaf. That's awesome. Can't be an isopod there, obviously. Just a leaf moving by itself. Ninja vanish. And then those other little guys you see, Bearby, um, I always say they look like a bunch of little kids if you spilled candy all over and let them fight over it, but they're not really fighting, they're just trying to eagerly grab it. Those are springtails because they always look like they're in a hurry, fighting over stuff, hitting each other with their antennae. And he is still just hanging out there, too. And this is something I could do for hours. I have to be mindful because not that it would be a big issue, but you can dry these guys out. Two of them hanging out. I'm going to put this back up for a moment. Oh. Man, I love these guys. Should we check out some spinny cornies? And also, naturalist, I'm not going to be around too much longer. I think I've just been on over an hour or something like that. So, oh, that's a little springtail. Yeah. Man, that guy up in the top is just having a day. Yeah, that's what I like watching them do that little, I guess, kind of concave reverse flex. Oh, don't look, kids. This is how baby isopods are made. I don't know how well you can see that, and I don't want to get all up in their face, but no, that's love. That's love right there. I can actually hear them hitting the bin. That was hilarious. Oh, young love. I'm gonna grab a drink of water and I will be right back. There may be. They just haven't found him yet. A buddy of mine, um, Kay or Coon, who was in here earlier, I talked with him on Discord, and we had this thing going on about isoborgs versus the iso gods. It's just a little inside running lame joke we have that we enjoy. Yeah, let's get some spinnies. I think this will probably be my last bin. I don't know right now. Oh, it's been almost an hour and a half. I did not know that. Up, up, and away. Ignore that. Let me get it up a little closer. So these are, again, my original colony of wild-caught spinny cornies. Nice. Eating most of their food. Usually have, in fact, I see one. The mankai like to hang out in this wood. Where were you? I just saw one. There's actually one right here. I don't know how well you can see him. He's tiny. Oh, one's moving right here. A couple of them moving there. I don't know how well it looks in this. I'll move it in a moment. Man, they are some active springtails. All right, let us go in. Yeah, let's do that. I may go to my big spinny cornies bin after this, but my big spinny cornies bin is actually a little less active because it's what I move them into. Oh yeah, there you can see him a little. Oh, there's two of them. Three of them. I hope we, four of them. I see another one. Wow, okay. Sorry, I know it's a little shaky, but I'm holding that. Oh, well, there he goes. Another one moving under that leaf. Yeah, this is, oh, see. Let's move. See if I can stay out of the light. A lot of springtails here. Yeah, those mankai are amazing. There's another one in there. Hanging out. I always say the most beautiful thing about these is how just when you slow down and look a little closer, what you see. Yeah, I always worry about healthy springtail populations because it can always mean something's wrong, like if your isopods are dying, but I know it's not the case. This bin and my Gestroy, before I moved them, had the best populations of springtails. Just saw someone moving over here. Me. Hmm. You just ran out. Um, One thing I do want to do is start actually monitoring the actual moisture, but I don't know. But what I will say is, compared to, and again, for a little bit of context, I have gen I tend to gravitate towards drier species because I don't want to deal with right now while I'm still new, the moisture and humidity and fruit, the things that come with it. So and I also live in a Michigan apartment, so I need to be mindful of that. So I tend to gravitate towards the ones that prefer or at least not as harmed by a little bit of dryness. But with that, compared to my um, Trichelopus rathke, again, locally caught here, and compared to what I'm going to keep my Aniscus osalis in, these guys are relatively dry. I only really moisten maybe up to, this is the moist spot, and I usually once a month pick this side or this side of the wood to alternate with. Um, so I kind of keep it more dry. And I talked about it in one of my videos where I noticed if I could compare, and this is what I think I'm starting to notice, the Porcelio spinicornis tend to be in the, if there's a ramp or a natural slope, they'll be at the top of the slope, the drier spots, and avoid the runoff and the super moist spots. Whereas the Trichelopus rathki tend to always be below the surface, if not on the surface, just below it, in very moist conditions on very saturated wood. Whereas, as you can see, that little guy running, I don't know if you could see him here, but the spinicornis tend to like this wood, dry wood on the top, maybe coated with just a little bit of leaves. Um, this wood is what I actually harvested all of my spinicornis from. There's a, and again, what I'm noticing is consistency in that, in addition to those two that I mentioned, the Oniscus osalis, as I mentioned, they are in humid wood, but it tends to be off of the surface more, where it's the freshly decomposing wood that they seem to enjoy more. And I also noticed with that it's off the surface, similarly to the spinicornis. And again, that leads me to think that they are just not as adverse to a little bit colder conditions and things like that. But I noticed these guys more so compared to, the Trichelopus rathke, even the canyon giants that I keep, they like it dry. But they they want a very moist spot. But they like, I mean, I see them all throughout the enclosure. The mankai will be all around the dry side of the bin here, so it's not like they only, um, you know, how would I say this? I know if you see all of your isopods constantly in the humid area, that may mean that you need to spread the humidity out. But with these guys, I don't see that. I mean, like I say, I don't drop any water generally past the edge of this rock. I only do it here, aside from the spot that I pick every month. And they are, as you can see, flourishing. I have them in separate bins. In fact, I'll pull that out now and I'll do that. Say goodbye to these guys for a minute. I don't want to see if I missed anything else in the chat. I apologize if I did. Yeah, fungus gnats. I'm trying to limit it to where I get more comfortable. Eventually, I want to get one of those. I think they're called catchies. In fact, I do want to. I saw at Meyer, I'm going to do a review over a month or three where they had the little plug-in bug attractor things that, and I may try those just to see and do a little bit on the channel about it. but that's the reason I hesitate to get into the moist side of the house. And this is going to be the last. Oops, sorry. This is my larger bin of spinny cornies, which is actually a smaller colony. So we may not see as many, but again, these guys are super active. And like I say, there's a lot of mankind here, so it's one of those where we're gonna take a deep dive. This is mostly all wild harvested wood for these guys. I'm sorry to show you my hand again. So, oh wow, I have a lot of mold. I just noticed that. I may have to throw some more springtails or see. I don't think I've ever had that much mold before, so I'm not super worried about it. In fact, I can usually catch a guy or two hanging out on those rocks, but I don't see any. And I'm kind of, yeah, the light. They're normally out a lot more on this moss, but I actually just put a bunch of leaf litter. So they're probably going to be a little less visible today. What I do like is, and it's going to be hard to see out, so, but you can see the little grooves in that wood, and I'll often find mankai just hanging out in those grooves, relaxing. So much so I started putting Supreme Isopod Chout in there, in the little, sometimes dropping it down in little grooves, and I'll catch them eating there, but I don't see any right now. There's just a mankai over there running. I just put this piece of wood in, and it's actually kind of cool because the bottom side is lichened over, so I'm hoping they're enjoying that. And they're going to be shy today, and that's okay. There's a little guy hanging out. Let's see if we can even spot him. Oh, there's another one too. Yeah, you ran over your buddy. They are so tiny. I'm going to start wrapping up and saying bye, because again, I'm going to be leaving in a moment. Thank any of you who hung out. I always appreciate the time. But I do. See if we see anything. All right, guy. I'm going to leave this for a moment. Go get myself one more sip of water. see if you guys have anything else to say before we part ways. Sorry, I was just looking at that camera view. Oh my gosh, come on. There we go. Oh, it's just me prattling on about how I'm going to be leaving in a moment. I'm going to get a drink of water and then wrap it up. And I was just looking at some mankai. I kind of forget sometimes that I'm streaming. I'm just going to hang out for a moment or two. I think you're back, Bearby. Yeah, I didn't get to focus too much, but on anything super educational. But I hope it was at least a little something nice, little education, and a little entertainment. And that's good to hear. All right, well, I'm going to end the stream in a moment. Thank you so much. I hope everything's going well with you. You're taking care of yourselves and the ones you love. And I'll catch you in the next video or the next stream or whenever. So go easy.